Every man moves through life carrying an inner world that nobody can see but everyone can feel. That world is his frame. It shapes the way women respond to him, how they judge his presence, how they decide whether he is a man to respect or a man to handle. The tragedy is that most men let that world crumble without even noticing. One day she's warm, affectionate, leaning into you. The next she's cold, irritated, or strangely detached, and you sit there thinking she flipped for no reason. But she didn't. She was responding to a shift inside you, the quiet collapse of your frame. Once you truly grasp how to hold your frame, everything about women becomes clear. The confusion disappears. The mixed signals stop tormenting you. You begin noticing the patterns beneath her emotions, the subtle shifts in power, the tests she sends your way without even realizing she's doing it, and suddenly, you're not reacting anymore. You're leading. You're guiding the dynamic instead of trying to survive it. When a woman steps into your life, she isn't just meeting your personality. She's entering your psychological environment, the invisible reality built from your beliefs, your standards, your emotional discipline, and the way you move through tension. She studies that world the way someone might explore a foreign place they're about to live in. She watches more than she listens. She pays attention to what you allow, how you enforce the edges of your reality, how you express disappointment, how you handle disrespect, and even how you sit in silence. Your frame silently answers every question she has about you. Are you the man who shapes his own reality, or are you waiting for approval before you act? Do you stand firm when challenged, or do you adjust yourself to avoid conflict? Women don't need long speeches to figure you out. Your pauses, your reactions, your tone, they reveal whether you're a man who leads or a man who follows. Most men never learn this. They think attraction is something they must earn through effort, so they give more and more. More attention, more compliments, more access, more availability, and every extra ounce of giving dissolves the clarity of their frame. It becomes soft, undefined, almost weightless. And when your world loses shape, her respect slowly drains away. Picture this: he was sweet, attentive, endlessly supportive. The guy who responded instantly, agreed with everything, and never held a boundary. At first, she soaked up the affection. It felt good. But as time passed, something shifted. She began talking over him, testing him, ignoring his opinions. Not because she suddenly disliked him, but because she couldn't feel any structure around him. There was no center, no gravity. So she started creating her own frame and placing him inside it. Women don't intentionally crush weak men, they adapt to them. When your world lacks direction, she fills the space you abandoned. When your silence has no weight, she becomes the one setting the tone. When your boundaries fade, hers take over. It's instinct, not malice. And if you've ever wondered why you ended up in a dynamic you never wanted, it's usually because she stepped into the leadership void you left behind. This brings us to something men misunderstand deeply. Every woman tests the man she's with, not because she's trying to manipulate him, but because she needs to confirm the strength of the environment she's entering. Her tests are rarely conscious. They're not strategy, they're biology. A woman can't relax into a man unless she feels he won't fold when things get uncomfortable. These tests come through subtle moments: a sarcastic remark, a shift in tone, a delayed reply, a sudden burst of emotion. Sometimes it's quiet distance, sometimes it's sharp tension. She wants to see what happens when the script breaks. Do you fall apart? Do you chase? Do you justify yourself like a child begging not to lose approval? Or do you stay grounded, steady, and calm because you're rooted in who you are? When she challenges you, she's not looking for a man who collapses to win her over. She's searching for the part of you that doesn't budge, the core that stays intact even when she pushes. Men fail these tests because they think the goal is to fix her feelings, but every attempt to soothe, over-explain, or earn forgiveness signals that you're not centered. You're reactive, you're emotionally unstable, and nothing makes a woman feel less safe than a man who's swayed by her moods. A woman relaxes only when she senses that your internal world is sturdier than her emotional storms, not dominating, not controlling, just steady. A man whose approval actually means something because he doesn't give it out to avoid discomfort. True masculine power isn't loud, it isn't fast, it isn't eager. It's the quiet confidence of a man who doesn't need external validation to know his worth. It's the stillness that communicates without a single word, I don't chase, I choose. Your frame doesn't collapse in one dramatic moment. It slips slowly, softly. It begins with one tiny compromise, a boundary ignored, a disrespect you let slide because you didn't want to ruin the vibe. A text replied to instantly even though you weren't available. One little moment where you surrendered leadership for comfort, and little by little, you stop being the anchor. You stop being the man she can lean into. You become the man trying to keep her from drifting away. At first, she appreciates the effort. Then, without even realizing it, she begins to lose the very thing she was drawn to in the first place, the man with gravity, direction, and unshakable presence. She may still smile when you give up your own plans just to accommodate her. She may lean into you when you apologize for things that were never your fault. But what looks like closeness on the surface slowly morphs into something else entirely. You're not building intimacy, you're building dependency, the kind that makes her feel she can take more, and you'll still remain because you've quietly turned her comfort into your purpose. You've allowed her emotions to become the compass that guides your reactions, your decisions, and eventually your identity. You might not even see the shift happening. Most men don't, but it's there. And once she senses it, everything begins to turn. There was a time when he moved with certainty, when his path extended far beyond the relationship. His goals, his direction, they carried a weight that made her feel anchored. She admired that steadiness, the way he seemed rooted in something deeper than her affection. But little by little, his tone softened into hesitation. He stopped leading and began requesting permission. Whatever you want, he'd say, I just don't want to lose you. What he thought was protecting love was actually smothering it. Because when a woman realizes you've made keeping her your priority above everything else, something inside her shifts. Respect evaporates quietly, and love without respect cannot endure. When respect fades, attraction drops right behind it, like it's tied to the same rope. Suddenly, she begins testing in ways she never did before, pushing boundaries, withholding warmth, pulling back just to see what you'll do. Not because she wants to hurt you, and not because she stopped caring, but because she's trying to locate the version of you she once admired. She's searching for the man who moved with purpose, the man whose world had walls, the man who didn't tremble at the thought of losing her. And when she realizes he's no longer there, something in her expression changes. The spark, the softness, the subtle admiration in her eyes, all of it fades. She doesn't even have to say anything. You feel it. The look she gives you is no longer warm. It's analytical, like she's studying someone she no longer recognizes. This is the moment most men break. They panic, they plead, they try to fix whatever they think went wrong. They offer more love, more energy, more proving, but that only confirms what she already knows. You're not leading. You're clinging. And you can never restore desire by negotiating or by demonstrating neediness. She doesn't announce when her respect dies. Women rarely do. She simply withdraws piece by piece. Her attention becomes minimal. Her voice loses its warmth. She stops investing emotionally, not out of hatred, but because she feels she's already won the dynamic. And the tragedy is that you were the one who taught her how. Every man dreads this moment. The shift in her eyes when she no longer sees the man she once looked up to. You sense it before she speaks it. Her tone becomes gentle in a way that doesn't feel loving but pitying. Her laughter disappears and is replaced with a detached indifference. And deep down, you know there's no speech, no gesture, no heroic effort that can reverse what she now believes about you. Once a woman sees a man's weakness, truly sees it, she can't unsee it. This isn't pride or cruelty, but it's psychology. In her mind, she has built a complete model of who you are. That model is shaped by every time you avoided conflict, every moment you folded your boundaries, every instance you tried to earn closeness through sacrifice. Those memories merge into a fixed image, and once that image is formed, it becomes her filter for everything you do. If she originally fell for your strength and steadiness, that memory guided her attraction. But if you trained her to view you as indecisive, anxious, and reactive, that becomes her truth. So when you suddenly try to act confident again, when you raise your voice or attempt to reclaim authority, she doesn't buy it. It feels forced because it is. Her subconscious whispers, "This isn't who he is." That conflict between the old image and your new behavior creates a psychological split, cognitive dissonance. She can't merge these two versions of you, so she rejects the new one. This is why acting confident never works. You can't rebrand yourself in a woman's mind once she's accepted a weaker version of you. You can mimic strength, imitate authority, rehearse a dominant tone, but none of it sticks because the energy behind it is fractured. Performance cracks under pressure. Real transformation doesn't. And here lies the truth most men avoid. Attraction can't be revived through theatrics. You can't fix this with louder words, tighter posture, or new rules. The only way forward is internal reconstruction, rebuilding the man himself, not the mask he wears. This process isn't about winning her back. It's about reforging a foundation that collapsed long before she ever pulled away. You can always recognize when a man is pretending to be powerful. His voice strains, his presence feels inflated instead of grounded, his posture stiffens, not from confidence but from fear that someone will notice how fragile he feels inside. That isn't strength, that's panic wrapped in a costume. True masculine energy doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't shout. It doesn't dominate a room through force. It's quiet, cohesive, composed. You can feel it in the man who doesn't flinch under pressure, the man who doesn't cling, negotiate, or perform for validation. His value doesn't rise and fall, depending on who accepts him or who walks away. It comes from within. Confidence that requires demonstration isn't confidence. It's insecurity disguised as bravado. When a man tightens his grip on a woman's choices, when he raises his voice to maintain control, when he collapses under her independence, he isn't being dominant. He's being afraid. A real man never needs to prove power. His energy does it for him. His silence carries weight. His boundaries hold firm. His presence creates the atmosphere, and women feel this immediately. They may not always articulate it, but they know when a man's internal world matches his external expression. That alignment is what allows them to relax. But the moment there's a gap, when he acts strong but feels weak, when he performs confidence but carries doubt, she senses the incoherence and pulls back, not because she wants to leave, but because something essential no longer feels safe. And this, quietly, is where most men lose themselves and never realize why. They start drowning in advice, endless voices telling them to be more alpha, more dominant, more commanding. They memorize scripts, adopt personas, try to bend their tone and posture into something that looks like strength. But they miss the one truth that separates real masculinity from the performance of it. Grounded energy cannot be faked. You either embody it or you don't. And the only way you ever develop it is through stillness, through the discipline of holding your center when storms rise around you, through the quiet self-respect that doesn't need applause to feel whole. True confidence doesn't need to announce itself. Insecurity, on the other hand, demands attention. One moves with a calm steadiness, the other scrambles to be seen and validated, and that's where most men fall apart. They perform masculinity instead of living it. They think they can impress their way into respect, charm their way back into her heart, or flex their way into leadership. But women don't respond to the act. They respond to the energy behind it, the consistency that never fractures under pressure. Masculine frame isn't something you demonstrate. It's something that radiates naturally when your inner world is aligned, and there is no shortcut back to that alignment. No speech, tactic, or strategy can rebuild what you abandoned in silence. You can't restore strength through manipulation or words crafted to win her back. The repair must happen internally. It begins where she cannot see, within the foundation of who you are when no one is watching. The first step is brutal honesty with yourself. You have to stop pretending you don't know why she stopped respecting you. It wasn't because she suddenly changed. It wasn't because she woke up one morning and decided to pull away. It happened because you shifted from clarity to appeasement. Somewhere along the line, you placed her comfort above your own truth. You traded stability for emotional safety. You stopped being the anchor she leaned on and became the waves that moved with her moods. And waves can never hold anything steady. The second step is silence, not the cold kind that punishes, but the firm kind that rebuilds. Stop negotiating for respect, because every attempt to explain, justify, or defend yourself only reinforces the very weakness you're trying to escape. Respect doesn't come from your words, it comes from the consistency of your presence. And when you stop feeding the noise and begin to act from a place of calm certainty, people feel the shift. She feels it. Your energy settles again. And that weight, that groundedness, draws her attention without you lifting a finger. Then comes the third step, boundaries. Not boundaries built from anger or ego, but from self-worth. Reconstruct your standards like steel beams. Respect your own time, your own peace, your own priorities. When you do, the world reorganizes around you. She cannot respect a man who betrays his own values. She cannot trust a man who abandons his own structure. Every time you try to convince her of your value, you quietly prove you've forgotten it. Understand this deeply. Your frame is not a character you play, it's an ecosystem. Everything you think, everything you allow, everything you tolerate either fortifies that ecosystem or weakens it. Women don't respond to your explanations. They respond to the energy your actions communicate. If your world is built on purpose, stillness, and direction, she feels safe within it. If your world is built on fear and constant reassurance, she escapes it because it feels unstable. So rebuild quietly, not for revenge and not to prove her wrong, but to reclaim your internal power. Become the man whose world cannot be thrown off course by emotional turbulence. The goal isn't to get her back. The goal is to never lose yourself for love again. You don't reclaim power by adjusting her. You reclaim power by repairing your frame. There's a certain kind of man who embodies this effortlessly. He doesn't rush to reply to every message. He doesn't chase after someone who pulls away. He doesn't drain himself trying to explain his intentions. He's not detached, he's centered. He's moved beyond needing to prove anything because he understands what most men never learn. Real power doesn't come from control. It comes from emotional stability. This man can't be manipulated because he isn't playing the emotional game at all. When a woman tests him, he doesn't crack, he observes. When she pulls back, his world doesn't collapse. When she pushes boundaries, he doesn't react with insecurity or anger. He simply holds his ground. That isn't coldness, it's mastery. He knows every emotional storm eventually passes, and the man who stays still in chaos becomes the one she can truly trust. He doesn't search for validation because he lives within his own frame. His approval means something because it isn't handed out freely. His silence has weight because it isn't a tactic. It's who he is. And when she feels that weight, her posture changes. She stops trying to control him and begins aligning with him, because a man who cannot be moved emotionally becomes her anchor. This has nothing to do with dominance. It's balance. He doesn't need to win every argument. He simply refuses to lose his center. He listens more than he speaks. He acts more than he promises. His walkaway isn't punishment, it's preservation. And ironically, that's what keeps her drawn to him. Not the appearance of strength, but the quiet certainty. Women don't want chaos. They want a man who doesn't get lost in it. A man who can hold tension without exploding, protect without constraining, love without dissolving into neediness. A man whose silence steadies the entire room. Because when your presence carries more gravity than her emotions, respect becomes automatic. The game ends. She's no longer testing you, she's trusting you. You don't have to control her. You only have to control yourself. And once you do, you become the man she cannot manipulate, the man she naturally follows, respects, and feels safe with. Every man desires love, but few understand what keeps love alive. It's not effort, it's not charm, it's not how much you give, it's the foundation beneath everything, your frame. The invisible gravity shaping how she feels, how she responds, how she respects you. Once it collapses, everything else does too. And you've already seen what happens when it does. The silence, the distance, the confusion that settles over you like a slow suffocation. You push harder, give more, try to revive what feels like it's slipping through your fingers. But the more you chase, the quicker it disappears. Now you finally understand why. Respect never fades randomly. It erodes the moment you abandon the standards that once defined you. Without realizing it, you taught her that she could step past your boundaries because you stopped honoring them yourself. But the powerful truth is this: you can rebuild, and it doesn't happen through tactics, begging, or trying to prove anything. It happens when you return to the man who doesn't negotiate his worth. When your principles hold steady like iron and your emotions move with intention instead of panic, everything shifts. You no longer chase connection. You become the anchor it gravitates toward. Because real attraction isn't rooted in effort, it's rooted in presence. So if she circles back, fine. If she walks away, that's fine too. What matters is that your world no longer trembles. Every heartbreak, every moment of doubt, every night wondering what changed was pointing you toward this realization. She didn't shift first. You did. And now you have the power to become centered again. When you master your frame, your entire reality reorganizes around you. Chaos quiets. Your confidence returns. Your energy sharpens. And everything and everyone responds differently. If you're ready to reclaim that strength, subscribe. Hidden Waters is here to help you rise back into the man you were meant to be.